Hello, YouTube. This is BUB'S Comics coming at you with the No Faces Comic Chat. Today we are let's see. Roger, do you remember who we are?
Oh boy, something about the bargain bin, something or other.
I suck.
Bushwackers, the Bushwackers.
Yes,
Bushwackers.
bargain bin, bushwackers.
Yeah.
Bargain
well,
bin Bushwackers.
I don't
There you
whack
go.
bushes, so I don't whack bushes. So
Yeah, I know. You don't whack bushes.
And I don't bushwhack bargain bins.
Yeah, he doesn't play with bargain bins, but I'm telling you, I dig in every bin and I bushwhack them all. So I'll make up for y'all.
I don't even know what bushwhacking means. So
it means to hide in the wings, and it's kind of like ambushing, but worse because you're just like a single person in a bush waiting for somebody to go by, and you whack them and you take their stuff.
Oh yeah, that happens all the time around here. Oh yeah, all the time. I'm constantly looking out for those people. Yeah.
It's like when you go to the yard sale and you're at the bargain bins, and then somebody next to you is kind of moving in their back fat a little close to you.
Oh yeah.
Box. That's what I'm talking about.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Oh no. Yeah. That's
you.
I would call that backwashing, but yeah, I got it.
Yeah, we'll call it that next week. So today, as always, of course, on BUB'S Comics, we have with me as always DS Comics. Say hello.
What's up, everybody? Thanks for being here.
And of course, we have Roger. Say hello, Roger.
Hello, Roger. Greetings, everyone.
Perfect. And with us as our special guest, and to remind everyone what a special guest is, special guest on the No Faces Comic Chat is someone who generally shows their face in videos on YouTube and their channel. But then for this occasion only, of course, they've gone faceless. So we got Keynote Comics, Brandon from Keynote Comics. Say hello.
Hey, how's it going, guys?
So a lot of people have asked me, who my guest was today. I sound like Reggie. So one of the things that always gets me about Reggie's videos, if y'all aren't subbed to Reggie Collects on Instagram or Reggie Simmons IFBBABCDEF Pro or whatever it is. Like he says at the start of his videos, every video, and I love his channel. Really,
the friendly neighborhood bodybuilder.
Yeah. And then he's
a comic collector.
So a lot of people have been asking me. A lot of people have been contacting me. I'm getting tons of this, and everyone wants to know what bags do I use. I'm like, really? Did you get 17 emails today about what bags you're using? But he might think, I don't know. Maybe that's life after 1,500 subs.
When you get to 2,000 subs, you probably do get a lot of emails about it.
I bet you do. I bet you really do get a lot of people asking you crazy stuff. Hey, just ask me. Just tell me. I just got to know. What's your favorite kind of short box? And they're like, I don't know. So anyway, we'll see. People were asking me, so who's your guest? And I'm like, well, the deal is that Brandon hasn't. He's under 100 subs. At least he was this morning. So I think we can get him up over there. I met Brandon. Whatever. Through Instagram. I found him on Instagram first, and he had posted something. Brandon, you can help me if you remember. I don't remember what it was. It was months ago. It was back in the summer. And, and I didn't agree with it at all. I was like, nope, that's wrong. So then we kind of went back and forth on Instagram a little bit, but he was, made some really good points. And
I know what it is.
What was it? Well, I don't remember.
It was the CGC grading. That was our first discussion video. So whether or not they should have a rubric, letting people, know why their book is coming out a specific grade or whatnot, so there's no confusion or anything like that, because so it's basically their word against ours, and we're just like, all right, well, we're matching books, and we see that a 9, actually a perfect example is I have a 9.8 copy of the new Avengers, the first appearance of Ronin, the Maya Lopez Ronin, and it has it's a 9.8. But it has the cracking on the spine all the way down, and I was like, do they mark down for stuff like that? Because I have a 9.4 copy of the Batman 608 RRP, and it has the same thing, but everything else on the book is completely fine. But they marked it as a 9.4, and it's just when you have stuff like that, you're like, why? What exactly are they marking down? Because they don't give the graders notes really when it starts to get that high a grade.
Yeah, and they're very vague. Like the little notes are just, we were talking about last week, they're just kind of like snippets. And when you're looking at them, they're not even very, they're like all the same. Like everything I get that's 8.5 or above has the same snippets. Whether it's, and then once it hits 9.6, they just stop. They just don't give you notes at all. They're like, this is close enough. You know, I'm like, well, if it's that close, give it a 9.8. Help me out, you know?
Right, exactly. Especially when you already have the 9.9 and the 10, the 10 Gem Mint. It's just like, what's the point of having those if you're not really utilizing them? And if the standard is just going to be 9.8. But yeah, I think that's what it was.
Well, as much as I agree today, I didn't agree in the summer. And so we kind of got talking back and forth on Instagram. And I was like, man, this guy knows what he's talking about. You know, everything you had said was pretty well thought out. And here on No Faces Comic Chat, we try to be somewhat entertaining, I suppose, for if you like this kind of stuff, but definitely informative. And try to share knowledge around the community, you know, and it's one of the cleaner chats, and I think one of the more informative chats. So I thought you'd be a great guest for what we had going on, and I immediately subbed to his channel that during the summer and been catching his video as much as I can ever since, and got a great dynamic on the channel. So if you guys aren't subbed up to Keynote Comics, pause this video. I don't think you can, but go go sub him up. And watch some of his back videos. He's got a lot of good ones going on there. So cool.
Thank you for having me.
Can you link him in the description, Bob?
I can. I usually don't before the chat, but every now and then, you know, because people don't end up showing up sometimes, or like I'll have like 4 people booked and only 3 people show up or something like that. So I usually wait until after, like tomorrow morning, when I change the thumbnail. And then I'll update the stuff and have his link in there on the replay. Until then,
though, make it easier for the people in the chat to find him.
Yeah, I'm not really about making things easy.
I forgot. I forgot who I was talking to. Sorry,
you're not willing to do the work. You don't deserve the prize. You know.
Let's just go ahead and search all YouTube for Brandon. Why make it easy on him?
Try it up. One word Keynote for those of you who might be, reading or writing challenged. So in the chat, we got Firestorm. We got DS Comics. We got Area 51 Mike. What's going on, man? Good to see you. We got Comic Geek McD staying up late with us. We got Roger, of course. We got Discovery Bay Comics. Thanks for coming and giving us a shout out on your, every morning he does that. What's coming up on YouTube? I think he just changed the name.
What's on today with Discovery Bay?
Thank you, Roger.
Right,
I knew I could count on you. That's right. I remember it.
Hey, I've never missed that show. Never miss it.
We got Shahir in the house. So Shahir is the other half. Well, I say half, but he's like, well, Brandon, you tell us how he's your mate. So you tell us how he works with you.
Pretty much, he does a lot of the editing that you see, and we use his camera to shoot it, so that's why we get that high quality. He basically does freelance video editing and stuff for people, and that's actually why he's not here today. He's actually currently shooting a music video for some local artist or whatever. But that's pretty much it. I woke up one morning and I basically I do music. I actually make music, I actually rap and everything, but I had a music Instagram, and I was kind of trying to separate that, and because like the audience for that is not really catering to comics, you know what I mean? Yeah, I woke up one morning and I was like, all right, let me just make a separate account strictly just for comics, and that's just what I did. And next thing you know, I was just like, yeah, I want to start a YouTube channel. And he was like, cool, no problem, we can do that. And that's just basically what it's been. And so he also collects comics as well, and so he basically just got along with it, and that's pretty much it. Yeah, we do our unboxings, and we're trying to expand and do a little bit more stuff than it just being unboxings, because honestly, to me, I think it gets a little boring. There's different books, a lot of times and stuff, and really good finds and stories that go along with it to make it a little different. But we're trying to do more things, such as tutorial videos. We're going to start doing more reviews from movies. We just went to go see Glass that recently came out. So we're going to be doing a review video of that, and some more books. Like I want to get like more into like reviewing I guess, not so sought after books. And then, or maybe
Roger's great at that. I saw Metarog's channel is full of, not so sought after books.
Mm-hmm. Hey, listen, Brandon has a This Island Brad man. That's all I have to tell you.
It's beautiful.
That's all I got to tell you.
And I think that's the first appearance of Brother
I only know
Voodoo
one other person who has that, and that is somebody who has every DC book from 1930s to until the New 52. That's the only other person I know who has one of those. That is like, forget about rare as hen's teeth. That's like rare as hen's,
Easy, Roger. It's a family show.
All right. Well, I wasn't going to use an expletive. I was just going to say something even rarer than that. That's all. It's
great. Now half the audience just looked up expletive.
Okay. A bad word would that help?
Yeah, naughty word. There you go. Bad words.
Naughty word. Naughty. Right.
Naughty.
Shame on you. All that.
All that.
So,
well, anyway, cool.
Yeah. So he's aces in my book.
Well, we're glad. There you go. You got your first biggest fan, Roger.
Thank you. No, it was crazy though, because when I got that book, I mean, a lot of people don't know what it is, and it's that when you do find people that actually do, because it's great, because I've taken it to cons and everything, and people that have been collecting for years are just like, I have no idea what that is. They're like, what is it? And then I tell them, and they're just like, oh, wow, that's very, very unique.
I know what it is. I just know that I have actually a photocopy of it that DC that Completist sent me. Mm-hmm. But I forget about it. There's probably less than 50 copies in existence of that book. So.
Yeah, but the crazy story behind me getting it was actually the fact that I purchased it from a kid that actually knew the Bradman family. And he attended that party. Members
of the birthday party of Daniel and Andrew. Yeah.
Yeah. So he was actually on the way to go meet Andrew when we were discussing, because he's from France, I guess, originally, and so his mother was going through his old room and was cleaning out his stuff and was like, "Hey, I found your comics," and she was pretty much like, "You should go through them because some of them might be valuable." He's like, "All right, fine, whatever." And he ended up finding that book and finding out that it was, going for a good amount. I ended up actually purchasing it for $340.
Wow.
And I got lucky on that. I asked him, like, why are you...
Peanuts.
I was, yeah. And I was like, why are you...
one of the most rarest limited print runs because it was made for a birthday party?
Yeah. I mean, they're guesstimating 250, but honestly, I feel like it's less than that, because I think there's currently 30-something on the CGC census. And chances are, since it was for that birthday party, yeah, there's going to be a good amount of kids, but I'm not thinking there's going to be 250 kids. And even if they did, just imagine what they did with the leftovers. They're not expecting it to be money. They probably could have thrown them away.
And and how well were they kept, too?
Yeah, that too.
Yeah, my understanding is along similar lines is that although it was commissioned for the party, some of them were actually somewhat misprinted, in bad shape. So those never made it to the party. And that there were leftovers that nobody knows what happened to them. They don't know if they got thrown out. They don't know if they're still stacked in somebody's attic, but and again, I'm basing this on the research of the Completist, who is this man will go down any rabbit hole to find the information, and he tells me there's less than 50 known in existence.
Oh, wow.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, cool, guys. All right, let's get into a little bit of chat here. Somebody wake up DS. DS, wake up.
Yeah, I'm here. I'm just listening.
Right. I
didn't have anything to add to that. I don't really know much about it, so I was just listening. It's interesting, yeah.
Well, we love the rare stuff, that's for sure.
Oh, you know me. I love anything rare. That's good.
Oh, yeah. DS has got some good rare stuff. By the way, Brandon, I put these 3 up here in your honor because they're some of the ones that I think you mentioned that you found this on recalledcomics.com or something. The Bradman, the information, I think. So I went on there and I looked up some of my comics that were on there, and these are 3 that were on there. So I just put those up in your honor.
Nice. Yeah, cool. No, definitely, because that's actually one of my key resources right there. The Recall Comics. I love using that.
Well, let's talk about that a little bit. So part of our first topic for this evening is, places you hunt, right? And by that, I'm not asking anybody to divulge their favorite anything, I'm just talking in general. Places that we look, places that we go. Like for instance, for me, I pretty much hit up, of course, eBay. I think everybody probably shops there, except for Roger. He shops there under duress, but most of us are quick to hit
a last
eBay.
resort. Yeah.
Last resort. Yep. eBay. I have a Peddler's Mall near me that has 2 booths that has dollar books. And actually, there have been several. There have been a couple of ASM 300s found in those bins. There's been several keys. Now, usually they're low grade when they're keys, but everything else is real high grade, like, definitely near mint, very fine plus books in these bins. So people, and this guy has like a network of like 5 Peddler's Malls. And he has different tables, and he swaps the books from spot to spot. And when he gets new books, he'll mark where they went first. So that's pretty cool. So I have one of those near me. I got 2 LCSs now. One just opened up, and I've been hitting them pretty hard and heavy. But I've only bought one thing there since it's mostly moderns, it's mostly variants, and they have ongoing comics too. And the back issue bin is like 4 long boxes. So, and it hasn't grown like the whole time I've been there. So their thing mostly is they get moderns, they get variants, they send them into CGC, and then they come back and they sell them for whatever they feel market value is. So we'll talk about that in a minute too. So, that's pretty much what I do. And then I do some of the online auctions. I haven't bought anything yet from Comic Link yet, but I check them out constantly. And a couple of the other kind of online retailers like Midtown Comics and stuff like that. I'll hit them up pretty hard too. And so that's kind of where I shop for books. So where do y'all, get your information and your leads from, if you will? I'll start with you, DS. Make sure you're still awake.
All right, yeah, I'll tell you where I get most of my stuff from. I mean, I'm collecting Golden Age books. Not going to find those at my LCS. Not usually find them at yard sales. I do check antique shops and thrift stores. Usually what I find there, though, if I'm digging through bargain bins or at like a local place, I'm looking for stuff that I can flip, stuff they've got in there for $1.50 that I think I can flip. It's usually more modern stuff. But as far as the stuff for my PC, basically eBay, the 3 big auction sites, and then I've got a couple secret sources, honey holes that I don't disclose that I get stuff off of. I got these 3 books I'm showing tonight from one of those sources. Got a really great price on them. That's pretty much where I get my stuff. I don't buy as many books as I used to, so I'm not out like searching every day. I don't go to a comic shop, even monthly anymore. I buy some books here and there, and they're more expensive, so I can't afford as many. So I just basically online auction sites, and eBay is probably the top places I go. I've gotten a few off Instagram too since I've joined that.
Oh yeah, Instagram. I've made another purchase last night. I get on there about after midnight. I don't know why, but like when I can't sleep, I jump on Instagram, and then there I am buying books. So not good, but I get some good deals, but it's like I never remember even what I bought, because a lot of times you buy on Instagram, they'll take the listing down right after you buy it. Usually like if it's a claim or something like that. So then you can't even remember what you bought. So like a week later, something shows up and like, saran wrap, and you're like, oh, this is it. So that's about it. What about you, Roger? Where are you gracing everyone with your charm?
Well, currently Mississippi, but formerly I was I'm Brandon. I moved here about 3 weeks ago to Starkville, Mississippi. But for 45 years, I lived in Florida, South Florida, Central Florida, North Florida. And my bread and butter has always been the garage sales, estate sales, and Craigslist listings. Those have been so good to me over the years, especially the estate sales. I've gotten some real good keys and lots of commons for quarters or 50 cents. I've gotten just I'm a big collector of promotional comics, so I've gotten a lot of those that people in past years have discarded into quarter bins, and I've rescued them. That's what I call myself. I rescue these comics, right?
Yeah.
I consider myself some kind of a comic crusader that way, but so that you know, it's not that I don't do eBay. It's just that I'm cheap. So I'm not going to pay. I am not a believer in paying these exorbitant prices for comics that, you know, when I was I'm the oldest here, right? So when I was collecting in the late 70s and so forth, I mean, these comics were, you know, fodder in the cheap bins, and now all of a sudden you're paying, you know, hundreds and thousands of dollars, and it just doesn't make any sense for me to, you know, lay out that kind of money when I don't know if I'm going to get any return, or I don't know. It's just not worth it to me, right? So unlike a Bradman, well, that I would pay $300 for, but you know, most everything else that's not that rare, if it's a common issue, I'm not going to pay exorbitant prices. Mm-hmm. So that has been. I mean, but you know, you have to exhibit a certain amount of discipline and patience to do that, because you know, some of us are very impatient, Bub, and have to go out and roll every rock in Kentucky to see to find something, and then he'll grab it. And you know, but although he is very shrewd, by the way, in his negotiating, much better than I am in his negotiating tactics. I'm not that good a negotiator, but I am patient, and I turn over. You know, again, I'm constantly hunting. Now, when I'm here in Mississippi in the winter, there are no garage sales, so I have to wait till the spring, I guess. But in Florida, you know, you could go year round, you know, 3-4 days a week. But now I have to curtail that to nil until the spring comes.
I hadn't thought about that. That's going to put quite a wrinkle in your routine, isn't it?
Yeah, it's very cold here. I mean, for a Floridian, it got into the 20s last night or something. So, I mean, I was shivering over here, even though we have the heat on. So.
Oh wow! Yeah, my family actually just moved down there. They're in Fernandina Beach.
Oh yeah. Nice
they
place.
moved during the summer.
Yeah, nice place.
Well, where do you hunt at there, Brandon?
So I'm actually in Maryland. I actually hunt in a couple places now. So I occasionally I take trips to Rhode Island, and that's actually where my girlfriend stays. So when I'm up there, I always go and stop by like a lot of the LCS up there, and one of the flea markets. So that's actually been where I get a lot of great finds there, because they're not. I mean, the way that they sell their books there is completely different than the way that a comic book shop would handle it, you know, or the way that, you know, the secondary market handles it online. So books that realistically could, like, I actually just posted the first appearance of Ghost, and that's pretty much like a, you know, $20 book right now to a little bit more, depending on the, you know, what the grade is, if it's a nice high grade, and I end up picking it up for $1. So it's like getting something like that good, you know, or a deal like that. And I'm pretty much basing it off of what I'm seeing, you know, on the secondary market, and then other little, you know, I guess platforms that I use to see check the values on books. Like if I see a deal that I'm just like, oh, why not? You know, especially if it's a key issue, regardless of how, you know, significant it is.
Well, let's talk about that a little bit. So so you're going to a couple of different places, and you're going in different areas. So you have to make a pretty quick decision, because it's not like you can just hang out at the flea market all day for 3 days. You're actually supposed to be visiting your girlfriend, from what I hear. So, you know, you got that going. You're supposed to be with one person. You're sweating over a long box. So, you know,
she's patient. You know, she supports it. She pretty much she's actually watching right now. So
cool.
Hi, Adrian. But yeah, no, yes, it's pretty much gotten to the point that she's already aware of the situation, because like even when I'm with she here, we're out like at some of the local comic shops, I'm like on a hunt. Like if I get in there, like I'm there for hours. Like I'll even get to the point like I'll be like, oh dang, I got to use the bathroom, but I'm still going. I'm just like, all right. But
hey, tell your girlfriend to get ready to be a comic book widow.
No, it's actually pretty cool. She's kind of gotten into it a little bit too. She's even picked up some stuff on some hunts that we've gone on, and even she actually did a birthday gift for me where she got me tickets to Rhode Island Comic Con, so we were there, and she was actually able to find it's the Spider-Man Reign. It was one of the black covers that she had already had one of the regular cover of the book, and she ended up picking up the black cover there. And I think it's like one of the it's the one that had a recall thing on it or something like that. I don't know the number or the issue or whatever, but yeah, she ended up picking up that. But she's been very supportive of it. Usually when at least the last time I was there, I went pretty much when she was at work. So she was at work, and I was like, it's not that far by, so I just go ahead, went over there, did my thing, and then when she's at work,
you'll learn how to get around those little issues about being there with when they're at home and so forth. You find little ways around that.
Let me tell you right now, it's not that big a deal because I know, my marriage is secure enough that if my wife can't find me, all she's got to do is hit up the same places I hit up for comics and she'll find me. So she don't have to worry, I'm off doing something I'm not supposed to be doing. She might worry about the money I'm spending, but she's not going to worry. She knows where to find me. There's only like 4 places in town I'll be if she doesn't know where I'm at.
Yeah. Yeah. When I'm missing, she doesn't call the hospital. She calls the LCS.
That's right. So when you're at like the flea market or the comic shop, how do you know? All right, let's say you pick up a book. Mm-hmm. How do you know what to pay? Where do you go first, and how do you determine what a good price for that book is? Because for a lot of us, if it's not the right price, we're just not going to buy it. So where are you at on that? How do you determine what price you're going to pay for a book, Brandon?
So I base it off of, the thing is that at least from my experience there, they're not charging the ridiculous amounts that you're seeing on the secondary market. So right there is already a hint to me that I'm actually getting a pretty decent deal. So I'll go and I'll look and examine the book and see if it's in, really good condition. And if it is, and once I pick out, basically I'll go and search through all the books first, find the ones that I want or I find that are interesting or worthwhile. And I've kind of built a relationship there with the people there that they kind of just work with me, to be honest, because sometimes I may not have a whole lot of money, but they're already picking it up for a pretty, cheap price at the end of the day. And then they're just trying to get rid of like a lot of the stuff. So
are you talking about the peddler at all? I mean, like flea market,
Yeah, at the flea market. Yeah, at the flea market.
Oh, okay.
So I just, examine the book. If it's in really good condition, I'll pull it out, put it in my pile, and then once I get done, they'll tell me how much they want for them. Because if it's not one of those super major sought after books, they don't really know the extent or the actual like value for the book, and I'm not buying them to resale, so I don't really feel bad about getting a deal off of it. And then on top of that, it's just like because of how quickly the market is moving, that's only the reason why one of the books may have recently gone up. But I just like when I go hunting, I automatically just go to look for keys first. And then if I happen to find something that I need to like fit in to fill, a run that I'm doing, then I can actually pick that up as well. But I usually just go and use one of my I use the Key Collector app. So I don't know if people know it. So that's like one of my big tools that I like to use while I'm out there. It's usually pretty helpful unless you're in a area where you don't get really good service no matter what phone company you have. Because I know Alliance Comics out in downtown Silver Spring, Maryland, their basement, as soon as you go down there, you lose service. So it's like,
that's dirty, man. You know they're doing that on purpose. They put like an extra wall of concrete up there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think LCSs have like blocks on that app because same thing happened in my LCS. You cannot get Key Collector app open in there no matter what you do. No matter what corner you go to, it is, as soon as you step outside, it works. But in there, nothing.
That's dirty.
But yeah. So yeah, for that, I just examine the book, and I'm usually it's when I see books, I'm kind of like I maybe use the app. I can match it on the app of what Nick has listed, the price range for the books, because what he usually has them on that app listed for is lower than what the secondary market is asking for. So I know that if I'm already getting it around that range, it's good. And if I get it lower than the range that he has on there, that's even better. And then when it comes to like books on, I guess, eBay, I would say, I like to use different the sources of either checking, what other books on eBay are going for, and then kind of matching it with another platform that we use, which is called Cover Price. They are
I never
kind
heard
of
of that.
they're kind of like a Go Collect, but their format where their platform is a little bit sleeker. You definitely check it out. They're made by the people that actually used to work at CBSI, or with the CBSI team, the Comic Book Invest website group. So I guess they ventured off and decided to go and do this instead of continuing to work with them. And that's actually how I ended up finding out about them, is because once they started launching, CBSI did a little promo thing for them. Like, they're no longer a part of CBSI, but they were just wishing the guys well, and hopefully hoping that they are successful with what it is that they're doing. But you can basically go there and they'll do their top 10 of the week list, which usually tends to match the CBSI top 10, but sometimes they'll have like a good chunk of books that are a little bit different, stuff that's not being put on that list, and so you get to see it kind of like what's moving at a time. So they'll have like their movers and shakers, and there's stuff like that. And so you can also go on there, you can click a book, or you can search a book, and it'll tell you if they have different variant covers. So if you you go to like the regular cover, under it they'll have like a picture of all the variant covers that you can click as options as well, to see what the price point is it's going for, or how many units have been sold in the day and stuff like that. And so that's actually pretty nice to use. Like, once you check it out and you see how, like, I guess easy it is to navigate through it, you'll kind of understand. And then the format that they use for it is pretty cool too. So it just looks really nice when you go to it. It's not kind of like Go Collect, where it's just like a lot of boxes and numbers and stuff like that. You get to see like nice pictures and stuff like that.
Yeah, I've tried Go Collect and I didn't care for it at all. It's like, when I was in a hurry to use it, I guess I probably didn't give it the time I should have to try and learn it, but I was in too big a hurry, so I was like, screw it. I guess.
Yeah, and that's the problem that I ran into, because I try to use Go Collect as well. I know Reggie uses Go Collect, like he's had it, or mentioned it, and kind of showed some stuff for it. But that's what I'm saying. At least with Cover Price, I'm not gonna say it's as good or better. Like, I don't really know, because but I'm just saying, like, in a sense, it's a little bit easier to just jump in and figure out how to use it, because it's a simpler format, but it's like straight and direct to the point. Like, you want to search something, you just type in what you want to search, and then, like I said, it has this nice format where it has the pictures, and you can click on a book, and even if it's like the regular cover, then you have the options of also seeing the variant covers that may also come with it. You can click that, and it'll take you directly to there, and you will get like all the info that you need.
That's cool. I'm gonna have to check that out. Anything else you use? Or is that about it?
So eBay, Go Collect, yeah, that's pretty much it.
Cool. That's a lot of new stuff.
Key Collector is probably like my biggest thing, though. Like, that's the one I use currently when I'm always out, But if I'm like sitting at home online and whatnot, I'll go and check Cover Price and stuff like that. Because like online buys are going to be a little bit higher than out in the wild type things.
Well, DS, the kind of books that you hunt down, those aren't books that you find on Go Collect or definitely not on Key Comics app. So what do you do to get your prices? Because that's got to be pretty far out there.
Well, let me first, I'll tell you what I use. It's a little different for Golden Age books, but I heard Metarog saying that LCS that he's been to blocks the Key Collector app while you're in it. I'm going to add that to the long list of reasons why I don't go to comic shops anymore. I think that's total BS. And that goes along with price checking on eBay when you go up to the register. Also BS. And also marking up variants and books during the same week they've been released. Like after New Comic Book Day on Thursday or Friday, they're already marking up variants. That's BS too. So, I mean, there's a number of reasons I don't go to comic shop. Mostly I don't have what I want, but that's total BS. I hear more and more stuff about it, and I just, I'm not down with that. But as far as how to price my own books, I haven't heard of that couple of those that he mentioned. I use GPA a lot. I don't really use Go Collect for pricing. GPA is good for pricing.
You gotta pay for that, don't you?
Yeah, I have a GPA. It's a few bucks a month. It's not that expensive. I pay for it. I use it mainly for books that I'm going to buy to invest or flip. But for Golden Age stuff, it's sort of a whole different ball of wax. So these books they're not out there that much. There's not that many sales on GPA. It's not a good resource to find value. The best place to keep up on value of Golden Age books is Comic Link and Comic Connect auctions. If you just watch those monthly auctions every month and just look at the categories you're interested in that are Golden Age, you'll see what books are going for. And different books, and there's sort of different categories like L.B. Cole books, Golden Age Superman, Batman Keys, things like that. And it usually goes by like the price per point is sort of how Golden Age books are valued. There's so few and far between. It's not like you can look up a Hulk 181 8.0 and see there's tons of sales in that grade, or 6.5. It's not like that. Some of these books, like I just sold one on eBay last week, and there's only 4 GPA sales ever for this book. Wow. And none of them were in the grade I had. So GPA is pretty useless. So I just sort of had to figure it out. Pre-code horror books, the bigger ones, like the top notch, can go for $1,000 a point. So if you have a 3.0, it's about a $3,000 book. You got a 7.0, $7,000, maybe $8,000 book. Most of the LB Coles are going for, $200 to $300 a point these days, which is pretty good. If you have a 4.0, it's about $1,200 for some of the better Coles. Stuff like that. So really the way for me to price Golden Age is I just keep up on the prices through what stuff's selling at on auction, what people are asking for on Instagram. eBay is okay, but for Golden Age or silver, bronze, copper, whatever, eBay, if you're going to check prices on eBay, check sold listings. Don't check the asking prices. Perfect example is the House of Secrets 92. There's 75 or so on eBay, and the asking prices for like 4.0s are like $1,200 to $1,500 consistently. But if you look at the sold listings, they're about $700 to $750. So it's a way difference if you look at the sold versus what the asking prices are. But eBay's a good source to see what people are paying for things. Like that book I sold last week, I listed it at $1,500 and it sold the very next day as a buy it now to $1,500. So somebody else who gets an opportunity to buy that book in that grade, if they look at eBay, they'll see that one sold for $1,500 pretty quick. That pretty much sets the market on that book now, the one I sold, because if you go on GPA now, also that's the only sale in the last 2 years for that grade, or for that book in any grade. So Golden Age is a little different, but for other stuff, superhero stuff, GPA is a really good resource. I use GPA for stuff I'm investing in or flipping, or I just want to keep up on prices of like Silver Age or Bronze Age stuff.
That's cool. I've never used them because I know they cost money, and as Roger said, I'm cheap. So
I didn't say you were cheap. I said I was cheap.
Yeah, I think it's only like $5.99 a month, or $6.99 a month, or something, or $10.99 a month at the most. I mean,
that's too much for me.
Yeah, I mean, anything under $20 for me is whatever. That's the cost of being in the
That's
hobby.
a good comic. That's a good comic that I can invest in right there.
And probably not a good one.
I also pay for, if I'm looking at a big book to buy, to flip, or for myself, that might be a pressing candidate, or any number of reasons. It's a CGC slab. I'll buy the grader's notes for $10 before I even own the book. A lot of people think that's a waste.
Did they go up? I thought it was $5.
Maybe it's $5, whatever it is. See, I don't even know, because I think it's just so minimal that if I'm looking at a $1,200 book, it might be a good pressing candidate. I'll buy the grader's notes before I decide whether or not I want to make an offer or buy it, and I'll pay the money and just shell it out and read the grader's notes. And sometimes it's always helpful because it tells me what's the the defects on the book. I do that on books I own to see if I want to get them pressed or cleaned. too. I'll you know, if I didn't submit them myself, I still have to buy the notes. So, you know, I spend a little here and there on different resources. I'll buy the graders notes. I have a GPA subscription. But those are really the only two things. Other than that, just keep it up on auction prices for me.
That makes sense. The sold listings on eBay is really when you think about it. I mean, when eBay being worldwide, if you look at worldwide listings, it is to me the most comprehensive source of data that tells you what a true value is. Because at that point, nowadays, there's penetration. Everybody has internet access, well, not everybody, but most everybody around the world. And then you can see the sold listings and see, hey, the millions of people who have access to it are going to be going into the market and paying whatever they think is the top value, and whoever comes out of that melee with the comic, you know, that's the standard.
Yeah, and Thomas Churchill mentioned something in here. He's asking me specifically, but if I ever use my comic shop, I buy stuff off my comic shop. I shop on there a lot, but as far as getting price data and valuation data, I don't use my comic shop very often because most of the books they have on there are consignments, and it's a price that the seller has asked. It's not necessarily my comic shop, quote, experts putting it at a price they think the value of the book is. The consigner picks the price essentially, and a lot of those books are skewed way up. But sometimes the books are super low. I'll see, you know, I bought my Chamber of Chills 23 on there, and the 19. The 23 is 4.0. It's probably, I don't know, $2,500 book now. I got that like a little over a year ago. It came up on my comic shop for $700, which was a steal. I think the consigner didn't really know what to ask for, and that's what I'm saying. It's tough to find how to value these things and how to price them as a seller too. So my comic shop is not a great place to get valuations because the consigners ask sky high sometimes, or they ask way lower and it sells instantly, and you might even never see it come and go, never even be aware it was there. My comic shop, I buy a lot of stuff off them though, but I don't use it for price data.
For me, I buy a lot of stuff off there too, and I use them for my pre-orders also, because you get like 35% off. So I use them for my pre-orders, and it's a good place to build a want list too. If there's books that you want to keep an eye on if they come up for sale. And like DS said, sometimes they'll have a consignment book. I think they sold like a House of Secrets 92 last month for like $87. And it was like a 3.0. And it sold for like $87 because they just, whatever the consignor asked for. So if the consignor just needs money right then and it's an emergency sale, so they just throw it up there, it sells in one day and they get their money. So, it is, somebody Pope said, Pope Grimy, or Pope Cerberus the first said that it's a crapshoot, and it really is. Now, what's funny to me is like, I tend to use for my pricing. I'm sorry, DS, you got any other pricing tips for us?
I was just going to say, if anybody out there is into Golden Age and they want to keep up on prices by watching the big three auction sites, there's Heritage Auctions, there's Comic Link, and there's Comic Connect. Comic Link and Comic Connect are the ones I watch for price data. Those are accurate prices. Those are the going rates of books. Heritage is skewed. You got to be careful if you're looking at Golden Age on Heritage for price data because they have a 20% buyer's premium. It's hard to tell how that's affected at a particular sale of a specific book because if it sells for $1,000, the buyer paid $1,200 for it. Wow. Did the buyer plan that book was worth $1,200, or did they plan that it was worth $1,000 and they don't mind paying the buyer's premium, or they didn't count it in? It's sort of tough to gauge. And Heritage has a live floor bidding. They do an auction every Sunday night, and it has phone bidding, internet bidding, and live floor bidding at their facility in Texas. Live bidding generally brings much higher prices than online or phone bidding because when there's a different energy if you're in a live auction and you're physically there. So that skews the prices a little bit on Heritage. So I don't use that for price data, but I keep up on it. Comic Link and Comic Connect, two best resources for price data for Golden Age, in my opinion.
That's pretty good. Thank you. When I'm doing, just to finish up on mycomicshop.com, when I'm using that, it's good to know who you're selling to and know what they're using to establish the prices, because it's the adage, right? A book's only worth what someone's going to pay you for it. So if you know what your buyer is using to determine the market value, then that gives you an advantage when you're buying a book to sell, that you know what your floor, or rather what your ceiling should be in order to still make a profit when you're flipping that book. So for me, I have one LCS that goes strictly on, and I generally sell to LCSs. So I have one LCS that goes strictly on sold eBay listings. So I know that if I'm buying a book at a significant discount from the previous books that were sold on eBay, and I'm not buying it on eBay, then it's not going to show up in the sold listing there. I'm not skewing the data. Because I've had it happen to me before where I bought a book on eBay and then I go to sell it to the LCS as soon as it comes in, like the same day. And they're like, no, it looks like the last book sold for half what you're asking. I'm like, dude, that's the book you're holding. Well, if it's sold for that much, I'm not paying you for it. I'm like, why not? You can't buy it for that now. Because I already bought it. So what I'll do is I'll buy from one source, and then I'll sell to someone that's using eBay listings sold price. I'll check the eBay listing sold prices, and I know that this book is on average for the last month selling for this amount. So if I buy it somewhere else for lower, then I can go to someone who's using that as their price list. The same thing goes, I have another LCS that exclusively uses mycomicshop.com for their pricing. So if they're using mycomicshop.com for their pricing, things I buy on eBay, which can often be at a much lower rate than the mycomicshop.com going rate, then I can, bring it over to them. Like when I buy bundles, like 100 comics or something, and then I'm piecing them out and taking out the keys and then kind of selling the rest in bulk, then I'll move those to an LCS that's using mycomicshop.com prices, because every book on there is a $3 book. They don't really have dollar books. Everything's a $3 book. So, so that's what I do. So, and those are really two of the main things that I use to price comics when I'm using them to flip. And if it's a comic book that I know that I want, like one like this that I researched for months, then I kind of already know what the rate is that I'm hoping to get per each point. And I know how much I want to spend. I have a max budget, and then I have a kind of target grade. And then when those two intersect, I just buy it. I pounce and I buy it, as long as it's and my target grade and my target price is always, low. Like when I look at sold listings and I see a sold listing for the last month, I say, I want to be that guy next month. I want to be the guy who got it for $100 under value or $200 under value for this key. It happened to someone got that deal, and next month it's going to be me. So that's my driving force to get a deal, is I always want to be the one that got that lowest deal. So everyone wants to talk about a range or a value or an average price. And I'm like, I don't care about the range, value, or average price. I want to know the lowest number paid for that book last month. And next month, that's going to be me. So that's how I work on it. Roger. Well, first, let's take a look what Brandon's got. I think it looks like he's starting some kind of session there. What is that, online therapy? What are you doing over there?
No. I was just pulling up cover price. So, this is the website right here. So they have it spelled. For the link, it's covrprice.com. So not but so you go through here, and like I was saying, you get the pictures, you get a nice sleek format for it, and you can see the pictures right here. You got you can add to your collection. If you make your profile for it, you got a wish list that you can add to. You got a buy. So if you click buy, it'll take you to where you can buy it if there's options available. So it'll take you to eBay links that have them available, and I'll tell you the prices on the side right here. So you have the option between.
Can you look up on there what they are saying a House of Secrets 92 4.0 is worth? What's the value of that if you're not sure what to pay?
Yeah. So right here, all right. So they have right here in this section, it says that a 6.5 sold for $1,399.99 on January 19th at 2019. So yeah, you can see a raw sale going for $263. And so when you start going down here, so right in this section, it says the highest known value for a 9.8 was $44,999. And then you start going down, it has this whole content list for the grading values of, what you can expect to see around these price ranges for the grades.
So where do you see the 4.0s for like
4.0
on there?
So 4.0 right here, they have sold copies going from around 1,000 to 515. Now, that doesn't mean like it's, hold on, let's actually see if we click on it. It should be able to tell us. Yeah. So we click on that area there, and it will tell us when their thing has last seen it sold. So they had a 4.0 sell for $630 on the 6th of this month.
Okay. Yeah. So, I mean, that's pretty accurate. I think one sold yesterday. It might not be updated or maybe it was today for like 730 or something. So, yeah. And if you go look at the asking prices on eBay for that book,
oh,
like
man,
$1,200, $1,300, $1,400, $1,500 for 4.0. So,
you got to shoot the moon. I mean, people, anytime someone puts up an asking price and they put something like a buy it now or best offer or something like that, I mean, sometimes you feel like an idiot putting in such a low bid, like they're never going to accept this. But I've had several accept what I thought was a low ball offer, and I've seen them get accepted. I've resubmitted the same low ball offer before to the same auction multiple times, and then finally got it accepted in the end because they're like, it's like, hey man, this book's been sitting out there for like a month. You're on day 28 out of 29. And you won't come down to my price? Well, I guess you don't need money. I'll just sit here on it.
Well, a month is nothing. There's books out there I've been making offers on for a year and a half, and it's still listed. And I'll wait another month and go back to the seller again and be like, dude, do you want to make a deal? There's a House of Secrets on there. I've made offers over the last year for it. It's still out there as a best offer, and we cannot come to terms. So, but yeah, I throw low offers out all the time.
I guess
almost every day I throw a low offer out on something on eBay, and this week I scored something for like $50. So awesome. You get them once in a while.
Oh yeah, I do the same thing. I look at and I'm like, what am I willing to pay for this? And sometimes it's less than half what they ask, and I'm surprised sometimes they'll take it. Like something that's coming off my want list for 2019 is coming next week, which I was kind of shocked they took. So you just never know.
So what are you? What do you use, Roger, when you're out there in the wild hunt? Since most of your hunting is in person, how do you? I guess you're just praying for Wi-Fi in some poor schmuck's yard. Or do you?
Well,
do you ask them for the Wi-Fi password, like to the guest account when you're in their garage? Like, hey, I need to look something up.
Generally speaking, I don't use online resources while I'm actually hunting. I try to use the what God gave me up there, the gray matter that I have left in between my receding hairline and my slumping shoulders. So I have a pretty good memory for the things that I'm looking for and the things that other people have told me they're looking for, and then there are the things that I know I can buy to flip and reinvest into my comic collection. And so that's worked out pretty good. I haven't left too much behind as far as I can recall. Not a lot of cognitive dissonance in my life as far as that goes. But so again, excuse me?
Selective, of course.
Yeah, selective, of course. But so, I'm an old school, old timer collector. So to me, I only pay what I think it's worth. To me, it's immaterial what sold listings on eBay or my comic shop or BUB'S shop or whoever's shop. I'm going to pay what I think is appropriate. And sometimes it's good. I've gotten big $1,000 keys for a couple bucks, and then sometimes it's bad. I've left things for a couple bucks that are worth $1,000. But so that's just the way it is. So you win some, you lose some.
Yeah, and that's frustrating in Golden Age too, because there's some books that are rare enough that some people they don't care what it costs and they're just going to pay, and it gets bid the hell up, or somebody just pays asking prices, and that is the worst because that sort of sets a new floor for that book as a value, and it sort of bumps it up for everybody else. Sometimes these people, like a Golden Age, sometimes for a book, people don't care what it costs. They just want it and they have the money and they don't care. And I'm guilty of that too. So Sometimes people just want it and they don't care how much it costs. I mean, sometimes people will pay, you know, $5,000 for a book that last time sold for $2,000. They don't care. They just want it. That drives prices up across the board in the comic industry sometimes, and people just don't care and they just want it.
You never know the motivation of that person. Maybe that's the last book they needed for a run or complete a collection. I mean, I know that the DC completists are you know, have overpaid for many books just because they're so rare and they rarely come up. So in their minds, if I don't get it now for whatever exorbitant price it is, I may never see that book again. So
that's true.
You know, with that mentality, that could really skew what the value is of a comic, because it's only a snapshot of that moment in time, and not a reality check as to what that value is. So that's why we have to make sure we don't look at just one. We have to look at longitudinal evidence to see what the true value is.
And you don't really know what the other person is working around. You know, every now and then I'll have a budget that I really and truly want to stick to for one book. And then I'll see 5 other books that I can buy for that same budgeted amount. So all of a sudden I'm like, are these 5 books worth not getting the other book that might come up today for auction today? And then all of a sudden I got no money. I don't know. So, you know, it's like sometimes I have an internal pressure on my budget that I've created for myself that is relatively artificial, because if I just didn't look for other books, I'd be able to just sit there with that money and wait to pull the trigger when the right book came up. But instead, I'm like, the money's burning a hole in my pocket. There's all these other keys, and I'm going to miss all these, and I can have like 5 books, and I haven't done a haul in a week, and here we go, you know, and just start buying. So.
Yeah, that's the conundrum of the comic collector is like, should you wait for the one thing you're focused on, or if you have the money and there are other things that you like, should you pull the trigger on that? But if that other key comes and you don't have the money, well, then you're screwed essentially.
Yeah, I run into the same problem. I try to like narrow it down to like 4 books. And then it's kind of like whatever comes first. Like if I know it's in a really good condition and it's a good deal on it, I'll try to go for whatever comes first out of those 4 that I narrowed it down to.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's much easier if you, instead of just picking a target book and that's what you're going after, and then you buy stuff along the way and it hurts your cause. If you have like 5 or 6 books and that you want, whichever one comes up in the grade you want, the price, just get that one. It sort of expands what you're able to get. It's very helpful to do that. I do that too, Brandon. That's a good idea.
That's a good way to go. Pope is asking, you know, what about new comics and the pricing that the LCS seems to be, their price gun seems to be stuck at $29.99. I think that's funny because that new LCS opened to buy me, they're like that. So like every book that's on their quasi wall book, right? Like whatever the newest variant is either $29.99 or $49.99 or, you know, $69. It's like they jump. And so I asked him one time and I was like, so what's your deal? Like, I don't know that much about modern variants. So I was like, how are you pricing these? And I said, basically it is, like whatever the ratio is. So if it's a 1 in 10, it's automatically at least a $10 book. If it's, you know, 1 in 100, that's a $100 book. If it's a 1 in 50, it's a $50 book. Yikes. I was like, well, what if nobody wants the book? Like just because, you know, just because it's a 1 in 100 doesn't mean it's a real winner. It's like, I don't know if you guys know that new Art Germ one where like Spider-Man's snapping his fingers and it makes a heart. I think that's one of the ugliest damn books I've ever seen. I don't care if that book costs $5, I wouldn't buy it. Now, I'm not knocking anybody else who likes it. Good for you. I'm glad you bought it. But if I went to the LCS and they're like, oh, we're having a great sale. This was a 1 in 50 book, and now you can have it for only $50, or better yet, $49.99, I'd be like, I'm out. I don't want it. You know? So
I felt the same way about that Cosmic Ghost Rider. I think it was like issue 3 or 2 or something like that. It's the one that was like, it has like the motorcycle, you know, of Cosmic Ghost Rider in like the background. Yeah. He's like up front and he's like sweet or something like that. And that was supposed to be like a high ratio variant. And like that one didn't sell at all. And like you can get it for like real cheap. But, you know, like when it came out, they were trying to push the price up on it like right away.
Yeah. Now, I mean, if it's truly rare you know, we've had this discussion before, you know, is it rare or is it scarce? You have to have some demand for the book, I think, to warrant the price. And it seems like instead of waiting for the demand to build and then moving the price accordingly, they jump out with a high price and then adjust the price if the demand's not there.
Right. And I saw them do, I witnessed it firsthand with the Infinity War, you know, when they revealed Gamora as actually, I don't even know if I should be saying that in case some people haven't read it.
Spoilers. Turn down your volume.
Requiem, you know. And so when they did that whole issue, the first time I got lucky, actually, I picked up my copy on eBay because I knew that the LCS was going to have a ridiculous price for it, and I knew that it was going to be expected to go up. So I actually picked up really cheap, like I think for like $12 or something like that before it started hitting like the $30 and up range. And so then I was like, all right, well, then there's news about the secret, you know, cover, face cover or whatever, like the revealing thing for the second issue. And I was at work. Shahir was actually off and was like, "Yo, can you go to the store for me and, you know, pick it up?" And they didn't even know about it, but he had asked, and they were actually in the process of trying to even, you know, they were trying to put up the books and everything to get everything set up on when they opened, and they were already giving like some kind of ridiculous price. I think it was like $40 or $50 or something like that. And it turns out they didn't even have it. They didn't even get an issue in. So luckily, I ended up picking that up also on eBay early before like the prices started to get crazy. But it's the fact that they didn't even have the book and they were already trying to throw a number on something that, you know, they didn't even have.
That's crazy. I mean, that's even worse. That's not even knowing if you have the book yet and already waiting for it to pull out of the box and you got a price ready. Haven't even opened, don't even know who wants it. That's wild. Yeah, I think it's dirty. I'm getting more and more cantankerous like DS every day. So I'm
Cantankerous. Wow.
Cantankerous. I get more like, you know what? I'm not going to these shops. They can forget it. You know?
Yeah. But no, at least I actually found one that actually doesn't overcharge for the variants. I mean, I think if he does charge a little bit more than the regular cover price or whatever, it's not anything extreme compared to all the other ones, but 98% of the time, he will have the variant with the regular issue. So it's whoever gets there first, and he just like lets people go through it. Right? That's the one that you want. Just go ahead and grab it. So I usually end up going there. Hunt. And he's also really cool because like even if you didn't get it on your pull list, you can just, if you know it's coming out and he ended up getting it in, you can just call him and be like, "Hey, can you hold it for me? I'm gonna come in, you know, as soon as I get off of work or whatever." And when you go there, it'll be waiting for you.
Well, you know, with any luck, those aren't their first shops to close.
Yeah.
You know, I hope that those are the ones that stick around. You know, the ones that are kind of, we say doing it right, but, you know, they got to make money, right? So everyone's out there. It's nothing's free. So, I mean, I get that certain shops are going to try and work the numbers in their favors, but it is nice when you come upon one that's doing it the right way. You just hope they can still make as much money doing it that way as the guys that you can't stand down the street.
Yeah.
For real.
Yeah, so here's a perfect example of how hard it is to price Golden Age books. I just saw this one on eBay pop up. I went to buy it. It already said sold. This thing was gone in a matter of seconds. Let me show you this. They listed it for $99. I'm not sure how well it's showing up. All right, so that's an LB Cole cover. Super tough to find. It's a Hitler cover. It's Hitler in a tank. Man. All right, 6.0.
$99?
$99. This is probably a $900, $2,000 book.
Oh my God, that's $1,000 all day. Jeez.
But I mean, you look up GPA, there's no sales of this. It's so rare, and they threw it up there for $99. I went to buy it just now, and it was already sold. Somebody else got it, and that's a sought after book. It's super rare. It's a Hitler cover. It's an LB Cole, and this is a high grade. Yeah, so it just goes to show you, it's tough to price this stuff. You know, anyway, that's an example right there.
Well, now we know what DS does while the rest of us are engaged in the chat.
Well, if only I would have done that 30 seconds sooner, I would have won that book, but.
I'm sorry. The hunt waits for no show. That's for sure. you gotta do what you gotta do.
It's all right. I probably would have. I don't know. I probably would have flipped that anyway if I got that for 100. That's a pretty big markup. So.
Yeah, for sure. It'd be hard to not.
Yeah.
Spend that on something else. All right, guys. Well, we've done it again. We've wasted a good hour yakking at everybody and enjoying ourselves and each other and all that good stuff. Hopefully somebody learned something today. I don't know what, but I want to thank Brandon for stopping in and being part of the chat tonight. And I think it was a hit, and we'll probably have him back again if he's willing.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks for having me.
No problem. And so you don't really have a call sign or any way that you say goodbye at the end of your videos, do you, Brandon?
Nah, actually we don't.
All right, we got to come up with something. You got to come up with something. Everyone's got to.
You got to work on that. Work on that before next time.
So I want to thank you. So we're just going to go down the row and say good night to everybody. So say goodbye, Brandon.
Hey, yeah. Thanks once again. Thanks for having me, and good night to everybody. And hope to do this again.
Awesome. Thanks, man. Appreciate you being here. And DS Comics, my favorite one to hear. Actually, we'll make him go last because you know he's going to drop out. How about you, Roger?
Yeah. Boy, oh boy. We're on a roll tonight, aren't we? Yeah, everybody. Thanks to everybody in the chat for participating. You guys were awesome. Thank you for listening to our some rantings, musings, whatever it may be. But we love you all, and we ask that you continue to support the New Faces chat, support Brandon, Keynote Comics, and again, everybody be blessed and be back.
Thank you much for that, Roger. And DS, you want to say your signature and everyone loves it goodbye?
Yeah, well, first I want to say one thing that I think we learned is that nobody uses the Overstreet Price Guide to value their books. That's
right.
But yeah, thanks, Brandon.
A table. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks, Brandon, for being here. That was awesome. I subbed you up earlier today. Hopefully, everybody else will go sub up Keynote Comics.
Hey, I definitely got you back.
And then, yeah, everybody do your homework. And thanks for checking in.
Awesome. Thanks, man. And this is BUB'S Comics signing off. And everybody read a comic. Thanks again, Brandon, for being on the show. And we'll have you back again. And thanks to all of you in the chat for joining us. And we'll be here same time next week on No Faces Comic Chat. Read a comic, everybody. Bye.